channel. Well, first of all, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever watched the movie Mean Girls? If you don't know, then Mean Girls is about four high school girls whose lives were turned upside down with chaos, with rumors, with broken friendships, things like that. And they are the most popular example of girls being depicted as gossip more than men in mass media. So for a long time, gossiping has always been assumed to be a female character trait. It's associated with women, with girls. Even in other movies, you're more likely to see ladies and girls having their own secretive conversations than men doing the same thing. But it's the 21st century, and at this point, I think we will have to sit down and reassess the whole situation, as to find out whether women truly gossip more than men. And to verify if this myth is actually true or not, I have done some research, and if you want to know more about this and the reason behind the act of gossiping, then it's really recommended that you watch my video today. It's about men versus women who actually gossips more. So let's start. So let's start with the definition of gossip. What actually is gossip? So gossip is a casual talk between two or more people about a person or a group of person who is not present in the conversation. In other words, the people who are talked about in the conversation are not a part of the conversation. And as information shared in these conversations are not fully verified, the views shared in these conversations quickly become something called rumors. And it's usually known that rumors are bad things, but it's not necessarily, because rumors can be positive, it can be neutral, and of course it can be negative. So there are three different outcomes to gossiping, to both the person who is talked about and the people who talked about that person. Now that we understand what gossip is, we also need to understand why do people gossip in the first place? What made people gossip? So, as human beings from the beginning of time, we live in a social environment where being up to date with the surroundings is extremely important. It's so important that it has become a survival tactic. We need to know as much as we can about the environment around us. But such information is not usually being publicly announced on walls or by politicians, by the leaders, things like that. We need to get it through other methods too, and one of them is gossiping. So that's why gossiping exists. Though gossiping is usually treated as harmful conversation that spreads harmful rumors, positive gossiping and positive rumors can be useful information that everybody enjoys. And though girls are usually stereotyped as the gossip queens, it is surprising that researches show that guys are nothing less and even play a more significant role in gossiping. So what is men's role and frequency in participating in gossiping. Now let's look at some researches to fully understand this comparison between gossiping in men and gossiping in women. So according to a study from University of California, Riverside, men engage in negative gossip more than women do. Another survey states that men have a shorter attention span at work than women, and they tend to take more coffee breaks that eventually turns out to be gossiping sessions. Another study done by OnePoll, a global research company, also revealed the fact that men gossip for about 76 minutes a day compared to women with 52 minutes per day. Studies also suggested that men share confidential information within 3 hours, whereas women can hold on longer to that information for another 40 minutes. Often men's gossip goes unnoticed because they indulge in these conversations in the disguises of networking, of keeping in touch, of expressing an opinion, and venting out. So, as surprising as it is, men actually gossip more than women do. The question now is why? Why do men actually gossip more than women when for a really long time it's women gossiping more than men? Well, a study conducted by the Western Canadian Undergraduate University showed that men love to gossip to get closer to their friends by talking about common interests such as sports or politics. They tend to get closer with those pieces of information and leads to a longer friendship between men. For guys, gossiping is also a mean to get them the feeling of superiority. Why is that? Gossiping makes them feel like they are holding onto a piece of information that actually matters, that can attract other people's attention. It's called a monopoly in information gathering. And it's important for men to feel respected, involved, and accepted in their social context. Well, now that we know men actually gossip more than women, I think we should accept that everyone gossips because it gives us a sense of power and authority in owning a piece of information that is so secretive and interesting that it attracts other people's attention. And while people have a lot of different motives when it comes to gossiping, it's rumors that they will eventually end up in when they participate in gossiping. So let us remember the quote that if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all, even if gossiping or not. And I think that's the very important key when participating in gossips in general, so that we don't get involved in harmful rumors and stuff. That's it for my video today, and I hope I can see you guys in my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.